Hey Geminis, and welcome to your September 2017 General Tarot Forecast. This is Sky, and I'm here to give you guys hopefully another amazing reading for your month ahead. It is the year anniversary of me starting to do the readings in this format, so I'm really proud to have you guys here with me. It has been an amazing ride, and hopefully I have another year left in me. We shall see, but I have a lot of really exciting content coming up for the rest of this year. Hopefully like an Ascendant series, and just a lot of really exciting things that I am working on getting out there. So if you haven't subscribed yet, I would so appreciate that. And you guys can also hit the bell to the right of the subscribe button to get notifications when I post, so that you get to see the really exciting content that I have coming. And I think that you guys are kind of in a very similar headspace to me right now, surprisingly. I don't have very much Gemini in my chart. I actually don't have any, but I think that you guys are very content-based right now too. You're really thinking about, what can I do? How can I do more? How can I make it more powerful? How can I up my game? I really think that that's your purpose, really for the rest of the year, but starting in September. And that's mostly because we had this huge solar eclipse, in August, in Leo, where life has changed for a lot of people during that time. And it's really changed into something that was unexpected and almost unreal to even think that you could accomplish. So I see that Gemini is almost in one of the best places from this, actually, because the way that the solar eclipse hit your Gemini placements is actually very benevolent, very good, from an angle that tends to work out very positively in astrology. And I see that for Geminis, the experience of that is kind of it's halfway. It's something that's a little bit struggling, because there's a lot in you, Gemini, that had to be flushed out of your system. There's a lot that had to be detoxed and let go of in order for you to come into this place where you are reaching for the stars. And it's a really funny thing to watch when Gemini comes into this place where you are finally allowing yourself to not stop yourself, to not inhibit yourself. I think that what I see for Gemini is this really profound awakening moment where you wake up to what it is that you want to do with your life and what it is that you want to accomplish in life. Because I have just a very powerful vision whenever I ask to see what your energy is. And I just see you doing something that's very normal or very average in your day, like something that's very routine. And it's like you just have this sudden awakening moment where you're like, that one thing that I've wanted to do forever, that one thing that I've always thought was too much for me to accomplish, or something that I never thought I'd be able to do. Why am I stopping myself? I can do that. I can achieve that goal. I can aspire to be that. I can find the motivation to jump onto that path. And it's like all of a sudden for Gemini, you stop stopping yourself. And because there's been a reaction or a very routine thought that, oh, that's not going to happen. And it's not even really self-deprecating or bad, but just your aspirations have changed since the eclipse. What you want to achieve has changed. What you want to create has changed. And it's like you've always kind of wanted to create what you're thinking about right now, or do what you're thinking about right now. But there were always other priorities, or there were always other conflicting things that you wanted to do that couldn't really exist in the same space. And now you're lifting the veil and you're realizing, I can do both. Or maybe I never wanted what I thought I wanted, and now I'm going to do what I've actually always wanted. This should feel like a huge burden lifting from you. And but at the same time, you're overwhelmed because you realize that you have to close out a few chapters. You realize that there are a few things in your life that maybe can't go on the way that you want to in order to get what you're trying to aim for. For example, just some random things that come to my mind. I see a lot of Geminis potentially finally deciding to pursue the music career, or finally deciding to quit their day-to-day job and write the book, and just really kind of eccentric, out there type of things. It does seem very possible that you might be doing both in September. There's a lot of multitasking going on where you think, okay, I'm going to work another month or two, and I'm going to save everything that I can so that I can take some time to start in this new direction. That could be, but for some of you, you are just stopping everything so that you can prioritize what may sort of have not the longest shelf life. That's another fear that you're coming into contact with in September, Gemini, is how long of a shelf life do your aspirations have? How long is it going to take for me to accomplish what I want to do? Am I in an age range that is possible to accomplish what I want to do? Am I going to be too old or too young? Or is something like freaking you out there? Like you think, oh, I'm too old to pursue the music career. I'm too old to pursue the acting career. I'm too old to go to medical school. Or I'm too old to go to law school. I feel like a lot of you might be on that train of thought, or you're thinking, by the time I can actually practice law or practice medicine, I'm going to be too old, or by the time I actually put in all the work, I'm going to be too old, or I'm too young to, I don't know, find the marriage that's fulfilling and not based on, more shallow, vapid reasoning. I'm too young to have a secure marriage. I'm too young to have a secure relationship. I have to experience something that's very jolting to me because I'm not old enough yet to have that. There's something relating to your age, Gemini, that's throwing you off a little bit. And it's like in September, you just have to come to a place where you think, what do I want? What do I really want? Because I think that behind that level of things, at a deeper layer, there's something where you're not actually knowing what you want, and age or qualifications are being the surface level of why you think you can achieve something, but in reality you're just not quite sure what it is, and you just haven't defined what you want in a way that makes it achievable. I think that September is the month where you define, where you add definition and you conform what your aspiration and what your goal is, and where you let go of preconceived ideas of what the appropriate age or appropriate qualification is for your aspiration. Because there is definitely something about you, Gemini, that is very enjoyable and very overqualified. Like people, even if you don't have qualifications to do what you want to do, it's like people are just dying to work with you, or your artistic lens right now, again, whether that be through music or accounting, as I say as well, it doesn't really matter. Your creative lens right now is very powerful, and it's like from the eclipse outwent your preconceived notions of why you couldn't, and in came definition for you to do it. And the only way that this can be a very difficult month for you is if you keep trying to convince yourself that you can't, or if you keep trying to convince yourself that you have to find a reason why you can't because you just haven't defined it well. The only desperation that needs to be present in September is a desperation to understand what it is that you actually want. What are your intentions? And you get very, very thoroughly rewarded for that. It seems to me that you're also in a creative place where you're working towards something. So you might be feeling a little bit inconsolable, or you might feel like you're having to keep your belt too tight relating to finances because you're saving up to do it, or you're saving up to, I don't know, self-publish or do the record or whatever it is that you're wanting to do. It's like you could buy a new car, or you could get a new house, or you could get a new wardrobe, or you could just take a breather and have enough living expenses, but you know that you're going to keep working hard and not touch your savings because you have something that you're going to do with it. So that can be a little bit of a indecisiveness within you, I could just have all these things that I want, or I could just rest and relax and go on the spiritual journey, but I have to risk and I have to wait and then risk the money on something that is an aspiration for me. So you're kind of in that space where you're like, what do I do with what I have? The best thing to do this month is to define and do less. I feel that you can also operate in a less expensive way. You can operate more cheaply. It feels to me that your budget is a little bit consumptive of resources, which is very normal because Saturn has been opposite your sun. So you've really had to look at where your money's going, as well as where your energy's going, and how you're getting a return on that, what you're investing in. Is it tangible? Is it resourceful? All of that is part of your experience right now, but there are huge changes relating to finances, relating to what you produce, relating to your resources coming about for you, Gemini. And overall, very benevolent month, a month where you can potentially be more awake and fuel an awakening that unlike you've ever had before in your entire life. So really huge. And for the most part, for 95% of you, very, very much an energetic exhale and nice experience. So I'm going to go ahead and look at this from the week to week, and we'll get more information specifically about you. First week, you guys have the Lovers rooted down by Knight of Cups reversed. decision. This is where the decision comes in, and probably, honestly, where most of the definition happens as well. It's probably going to come to you very quickly, perhaps through understanding an old codependent relationship, or what your aspiration was when you were less in control, or in a relationship that made you feel different than you do now. Understanding what the goal was then as compared to what it is now with your life, again, whether that relates to career or relationships or money or what have you. But really, I feel it's more career or what you do with your experience, what you create, what you manifest. Understanding what that is as compared to what it was, and how you've defined that, and the small ways that you have defined that, will probably open up a huge Pandora's box of new inspiration and motivation. And I say Pandora's box because when that hits you, it can be kind of a destabilizing experience, but it's for the best, and it's going to give you a lot. I really think that it's going to reward you thoroughly, but oftentimes to reap rewards, we first have to go through a bit of a wild goose chase type of experience, and there's probably going to be a crossroads, there's probably going to be decisions, but ultimately it feels like you can't make the wrong one right now, so wherever you go seems to lead you very well. So yeah, first week decisions, it hits you, old relationships come up, or you feel surrounded as well. It could be by people who aren't honest with you, but it feels like you are already creating something within yourself that doesn't care. So, like you're not relying on other people's truth to make you feel authentic. And if you're not, that's where you have to be. Otherwise, it will be a very difficult month. Yeah, that puts you into the second week with Five of Pentacles rooted down by Queen of Cups reversed. I really think that you're pulling back. Something is conserving within you. Something is lessening what your experience is. You're spending less money. You're going out less. You're eating more cheaply. Like, you're spending a lot less money, it feels to me, in September to like save for whatever it is that you might be doing in like March of 2018 is a big month for everybody. You're holding back for what you can do in the future. And the second week feels to me like what you do to establish that, like the budget that you put on pen and paper. This is a really good week to budget, to understand where all of your money's going, to understand where you're invested. And also energetically, thinking of energy as if it were like transactions, like what kind of energy are you sending to people? What are you receiving from people? How are you energetically invested in others? Because that's what the Queen of Cups is all about. So it seems to me that you can learn a lot of you can understand a lot about money and emotions through relating them. And like, what are you spending your money on? What are you spending your emotions on? How much of it are you in debt one way or another? I feel like the second week could do with debt. Maybe you're paying off a debt. Some of you could be like paying taxes or paying off your final credit card bill or something, and it's like this huge release, but you've had to pull back your budget so much to make it happen. And I sense into the third week you're rewarding yourself, or you're feeling much better because you have that Six of Wands rooted down by Eight of Wands reversed. Yeah, I really feel like some of you have paid off a debt, or you've worked your budget in some way where you can pay them off and still have a lot left over, because there is something like about your stature that's changing in the third week. Like, you're holding your head much higher. You're much more confident. You've maybe invested in your appearance. Like, some of you might get like cosmetic surgery, or some of you might just change your wardrobe or change your hair. There's a change happening on the way that you present yourself to the world, which can also be energetic, but that usually reflects itself on the outside. Maybe some of you are losing a lot of weight. Maybe some of you are gaining weight. There's just a big change, but regardless, it makes you like more confident. It's not like a negative appearance change. It also speaks of like when you have Eight of Wands connected to that, like the more that you try, the more that you invest in your appearance, the more that you invest in your confidence, it's like the more you get rewarded by the universe. So there's a very amazing benevolent cycle starting there for you. And I think it's going to look wonderful on you, Gemini, and it's going to heal people around you. It's like by people seeing you finally, coming out of the depression, coming out of the like sweatpant era that you've been in for a long time, you also transcend other people by your presence. So that will be lovely to see changing in your character. Fourth week, you guys have Queen of Wands reversed rooted down by Five of Wands. So much wands in your reading this month. Quite a very diverse spread, actually. You've got a little bit of everything. You've got all suits present: swords, cups, wands, and pentacles. So every sector of your life is changing. Every sector of your life is being re-energized in some way. I feel like there's a fear within you, Gemini, that you are becoming like somebody you didn't like, or by being more confident, by being more exuberant right now, you're starting to remind yourself of an ex, or remind yourself of someone from your past who you don't like, and it's like you're repressing parts of your personality because you don't want to be like somebody, specifically a feminine energy that is very eccentric and very almost unemotional or uncaring or not acknowledging of other people's emotions, very potentially repressing energy, because that's what Queen of Wands is reversed. It's like it's so happy-go-lucky and it's so spontaneous that it can't sit still and it can't realize the emotional repercussions of specific events. So it feels like to me that you're worried you're going to become that. It could be like your mother, or it could be a difficult experience with a female figure that you've had in your life. And I think that maybe there has to be an understanding that you're just not that person, or that this quality of life can exist without being careless. There is a warning to not be careless in the fourth week. Like maybe you do need to make sure that you're considering emotional conclusions to circumstances that are going on. More thought there will be okay, but mainly I think you're just scared that you're going to turn out to be somebody that you don't like. Because there are so many transformations happening within you, Gemini. You have Six of Swords as your central theme, which is the transformation card for me as a reader. I'm so connected to Six of Swords. It's sort of my home card, I would say. And whenever it comes up, it's always a really big deal for me personally. And seeing it for you guys makes me feel like you could start the new relationship this month. You could move. You could have a drastic change in surroundings. And you just have to keep your center. You have to keep your core. Because if you don't keep your core, you're going to start to not know who you are, and you're going to start to associate yourself with people from your past. So that's the only danger for September, is changing so much that you start to disassociate and you start comparing yourself to people that you shouldn't even be thinking about comparing yourself to. And hopefully that will wake you up enough to it in the first place. It's like, even if you're making the comparison, they're not just like about these people from your past, unless it's a positive comparison. Maybe there's a very positive figure in your life, but I'm not sensing that so much since Queen of Wands was reversed. You guys just have to keep going. You know, Five of Wands is there too, so there's some potential for conflict or potential for arguments, potential for not seeing eye to eye with everybody around you, but it's okay. There's energy being channeled. It will be a good month for exercise, a good month for running, a good month for something that keeps you moving. Don't be so still this month. I feel like you've been too still recently, and you will benefit from being active and activating your cells anyway. And opening up to a new version of empathy too. I feel that that's a big possibility. Like, you're a very empathetic sign, and people don't realize this about you because it's not usually the face that you show the world, but grow your empathy into something that is less draining and less, I don't know. It feels to me that you also transform based on other people's perception of you, and that's not so good right now. So if you can transform based on your own perception of yourself versus other people's perception, you're on the right track. And I'm wishing you guys so much luck because, you know, you're creating something great. You're creating something abundant, and you're creating something, even if only energetically, that humanity isn't really prepared for. So that's beautiful and that's amazing, and I can't wait to see what that is. And I so appreciate your subscribes and likes. If you guys would like to book a private reading with me, you can do that in the center of your screen right now. I have a lot of new things coming this month and into the rest of the year, so if you would like to subscribe again and hit that bell, I would be so appreciative. I love you guys so much, and I will be talking to you very soon. Much love. Bye.